Welcome to Podcasters number 41 today with Jim Rowe-bot. Welcome back, Jim.
It's nice to be back. I didn't think I'd be back so soon, but there's been a lot happening, so I think it's worth it.
Yeah, I invited you over today to talk about everything conversational AI. You have an initiative, and I strongly support that. And it comes out of frustration, and that's where good things happen, in my opinion. So I thought it was a good idea to talk about this and give a heads up to the community that this is coming, and they all should get on board. And please tell me people know you already, so you don't have to introduce yourself again. But what is Everything Conversational AI, and why did you start this?
So, like most of the community out here, when I entered the world of chatbots and conversational AI, I would use YouTube, LinkedIn, blogs, and basically go out hunting and finding information and learning from all of those different resources. And in the early days, 2017, it was really difficult because content was poor. The world of chatbots and conversational AI was not very well developed. But then shoot forward now 6 years later and things have developed, but I still think it's a challenge for two audiences, really. Those people working in organizations that want to explore chatbots and conversational AI, because a lot of the information out there is skewed towards the platforms. The platforms are creating a lot of the content, and it's very biased. It's biased.
You help with that with Juji.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And what they wanted actually was someone outside of their organization who could be a bit critical and feedback to them, which I've done plenty of that. Don't worry.
I know. I've seen a few of them.
Yeah. So it's about, that community of decision makers or people that influence the decision makers finding good, solid information.
Can I say something funny? This is exactly the reason why we started this podcast, because everything out there was sponsored, or there was a technical side in there from a platform that the eventual solution wasn't the information I needed. It was the platform, and I didn't want that. I just wanted to understand how they got from A to B. And that's exactly the reason.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I understand why they create the content, and they're using ghostwriters, people outside of conversational AI, to write the content. And now ChatGPT makes that even worse. So you've got, and it's all the same, I read articles and they're all very similar. And to us, they don't really have any value. But I understand that they're created as marketing materials to sell a product, whatever that conversational AI platform is. So that's one of the frustrations. Good, solid, honest, unbiased as you can be in modern age, information for people looking to purchase services, platforms, add-ons, ebooks, whatever it might be, knowledge, courses, all of that kind of stuff that helps. And then the other side of it is I wanted to build a resource for people already working in chatbots and conversational AI. So that might be the lone person in in business who's responsible for all the chatbot and conversational AI work. And there are lots of those people out there. It's very lonely. It might be the people that are working with the platforms who are only getting experience of that one platform that they're working with. And should they lose their job or decide to move on, it's very hard for them to make a transition because they've only ever worked on one type of platform in one type of way in a certain ethos. So transition to something else is very difficult. And also the people coming into who want to enter the world of conversation AI and chatbots as a career path, because I think that's really, there's a big barrier to entry at the moment. A lot of people are getting into it by default. So they're in a role within an organization who decides to implement the technology, and they suddenly, they have to learn it, and they're all alone. There might be only 3 of them there. They're learning from each other, and none of them have got experience. So being able to have that network, that community, that resource of, I want to have a library of like hundreds of ebooks and hundreds of courses, primarily free courses, because there's so many out there. You just need to pull them all together, and they can just expand their knowledge. A great glossary, lots of kind of knowledge stuff. So hosting podcasts within there, hosting round tables, joint working, perhaps working on like passion projects together as a team, bringing people together. So lots of ideas how we can support the conversational AI community.
And it's for Europe or the whole world?
So initially it's going to be English speakers because it's going to be a bit of a beast. But then I've started to think about kind of Portuguese elements because the growth there is fantastic in the Portuguese language. But I think the easiest way to do that is to build it in English first and then license basically the product so that it can be relaunched in a different language. So it'll have its own YouTube channel, it'll have its website, but then somebody can literally purchase the license and run the Portuguese version or run the German version or whatever else. But it'll be all under the same kind of title.
And wouldn't you assume, maybe it's a stupid question, I don't know, but if you start in English and you get all this information and resources in English available, which most of the resources are in English.
Yes.
That's how we got from starting in Dutch on the podcast, moved to English because people were asking me, can you do it in English? If you license it to another language, wouldn't they lose out on the amount of content and the amount of content to match up with the amount of content that's available in English and in other languages? That's just a huge gap. Also, the people with a lot of knowledge.
Don't get me wrong, they'll be able to take any of the English content, but they'll also be able to produce in their own language. So that, for instance, if they're hosting podcasts on there, it can be in their language. So I'm a great believer in bringing more people into the community, and that might mean that some of that information has to be in another language.
Thank God for technology allowing us to translate, right?
Well, my other gut feeling behind it is that the technologies that are coming along now. So, for instance, be able to automatically dub what we're doing now into Portuguese, for instance.
Yeah, or subtitle it.
Yeah. But I also think there's a localism to other languages. So if there's somebody wanted to launch it for India, for instance, because there's a massive community there, it would have that local feeling. You know, it'll be local traditions, local the way they speak, and I just think, you know, I know English is perceived as the language of business, but it doesn't have to be that way.
No, but there is a. If you look at chatbots or conversational AI, the nuance is actually in the language. So what I see is that also in the testing we do is that chatbots are slightly different in different languages, the way they approach a sentence or the communication in general. So it's also sort of a cultural thing.
Very much so. And I noticed that definitely dealing with people in Brazil because their culture is very, very different. So, for instance, they culturally would always choose to have their chatbot as a male.
Seriously?
Yeah. Whether that's still the case, but this was like 2 years ago.
Not
so
very
culturally,
woke.
yeah, it's probably got more woke now. But yeah, cool. I think there's cultural differences, and people need to understand that. And I think there's lots of little pockets of communities, and my aim is to kind of help them coalesce around the Everything Conversational AI community, just to make it easier for everybody.
And now go back a step. You said you want to put in a lot of courses. There's already a lot of courses out there, free courses or paid courses. How do you view this versus, for instance, Conversation Design Institute that certifies people to become a conversation designer, etc.? They have good courses. How do you view that? Are you going to compete with them?
No, a CDI are amazing at what they do, and I've already had a conversation with them. It's just a direct traffic to them. But I think there's different tiers, there's different types. You know, if somebody is not working in a big corporate environment that's got the budgets to put them through CDI, at least they can start learning with some of the stuff that Google provides because they've got a really good library of conversational AI stuff and generative AI. But there's loads of courses out there, so I'll be directing them to places like Udemy. But rather than having to search, they'll all be in one place, and they'll, you know, so if it's around conversational design, they'll be able to just filter the list and get all the conversational design. And they want to filter ones that provide an official certification, they can filter again. So they can just see the ones, and obviously CDI would be in there. So
Yeah.
I think it's basically just pulling it all together and letting people choose. People like to learn. I've done CDI. I did it years ago when they first launched. I loved it, but I've also done a lot of the free stuff and learned stuff. So I think there's something for everybody.
Basically, the story is the work has already been done for you, so you can save a lot of time, and it's reviewed by experts, and they know it's good or not good. If it's not good, it's not out there.
Yeah.
So that should help people become more efficient.
Yeah, exactly that. And then we'll be creating some of our own courses. So currently I'm writing an ebook about chatbot and conversational AI metrics, because I think it's really lacking out there. Every client I've ever had cannot get their head around metrics.
Did you already talk to Artie
I haven't,
about
no.
Requantify? Well, do that, because I don't know if you saw the podcast. He's way ahead of everybody. Seriously, that is very innovative, and it's what he has been doing for a long time. And I think playing around with his tool would inspire you for your ebook. And
Okay.
yeah,
I'll get in touch with Artie, definitely. Yeah. But yeah, I want this. Basically, I'm creating this ebook now, selfishly, so I can give it to clients. So they're not asking me. I'm not spending a lot of time talking about metrics and analytics and KPIs. I can just say, well, here's the ebook. Read through that. That'll give you a good starting point. I want to build a little framework in there. Trying to get my head around that at the moment, so they can decide what they should, must, should, could measure, and the reasons why, and the value to the business.
Yeah, I know how complicated it is, because we have to convince every client that a net promoter score is not a good measure for your chatbot. It does not work.
But people within our industry are still pushing that.
I know, and I'm against it.
Yeah, I'm saying, it'll be included, but I want, to give the pros and cons of each. To be honest, for most SMEs, small to medium-sized enterprises, there's probably only a handful of metrics that matter. Exactly. For the bigger organizations who might have huge call centers, then obviously there's more, because, you're almost measuring one against the other and they're both supporting each other. So there's more metrics, but every platform you use, it has a different set of metrics, and most of them are useless. They're unmanageable. You can't filter into the data. I understand why clients get confused, basically, but if they read this metrics ebook first, when they go out to look for a platform, they'll already know what they want in terms of the metrics, which will define, which will be one of the defining reasons for choosing a particular platform.
I was going to say that they know what questions to ask and what requirements to demand when choosing a platform. This is also this is one of the things. I don't know if you're going to have that in your platform. One of the things we run into at clients is the process of choosing a platform. Basically, you have requirements for today. But I always tell them, today's fine, but I need to know what you're going to do, what you might want to do in 5 years. And then that should be in the requirements, because I don't want you to change the platform in a year because they can't do it.
Yeah.
And sometimes you spend a little more in the preparations, and that hurts because other companies don't do that. And then they, of course, usually those are the platforms themselves. And then their platform is always the solution. So they have no interest in strategizing that far because they can't deliver.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say frustrated, but is that something you're going to address in your platform? Because that, I think the community can learn there how to guide. I think we should be independent. That's one, but how to guide your customer through the right choice, and understanding and telling him and explaining him that spending money in the preparatory part of the project is going to save him tons of money and frustration during the course of the project and in running the business.
Yeah. So what I want to do is basically create a framework that anybody can give to their clients to help them with choosing the platform. So whenever I don't know how you do, but when I ever start working with a client, sometimes they'll turn up and they've already got a platform, which is there's nothing I can do about it at that stage. And I've had some really big clients that have turned up with a platform, but they just need help making it do what they want it to do. And a lot of it is kind of strategy stuff. But most of the time, I'd say probably 70% of the time, they don't turn up with the platform. So I always do a piece of work, which is the scope. So it's exactly what you're saying. It's saying what they want now, what do they want for the next 5 to 10 years. Very blue sky stuff. Out of that, minimum viable bot. So what is the minimum you want to deliver at the first phase of the project to get something live? Because these projects can drag on. You know, a project that's supposed to be delivered in 6 months, 18 months later can drag on if you've not got that scope done. And then once I've got a scope, I help them go out to the market and find, normally I try and find 3 products that fulfill the scope. And it'll be little things like, what are their support hours? You know, do they provide support in your region? You know, if they're US based, are they working European hours? You know,
Hey, you
simple
call
little
them.
thing. Can you get them on the phone? Yeah.
Even though
So
we love chatbots, sometimes you want to talk to a person, solve it, right?
And obviously different size organisations, different rules. So some organisations have to go through tender processes if they're kind of government organisations. Others are free to just go out to market and spend willy-nilly because they've got the budgets. But you just want to make them get it right first time, basically.
Jim, can I give you a crazy, maybe you already had it, but a crazy idea. One of the things that I see is that I see new platforms popping up left and right every day. It's unbelievable. That's one. And they're all over the place, all over the world, I mean. That's one. And they have different functionalities. Some of them are similar, some of them are different. I see big platforms, but I see really good small ones popping up and say, oh, these have a lot of potential. Now, what I see is wrongfully a lot of big companies buy big platforms because they're big. They have a name.
Yeah.
But they're not innovative. They do so many clients that they actually can't deliver. And they buy other companies, so they don't have time to move on, move forward. And when you see the smaller platforms, they understand what's happening in the market. They built to cater to that. And then you see these, what I recognize, these smaller platforms have a hard time getting enough clients to survive, although they have a great product. And what I miss in the market, which would help me, and I think my clients and probably your clients, is like a comprehensive database where like Pricewise, you know what I mean? Where you have all the features and they're responsible themselves to put in all the data and the pricing. And if you don't want to supply all the details, hell, you're not in the database. You do not exist according to our standards. We cannot work with you. And then you have like this filter function for our community. It's like, okay, and you know, these are the requirements. So here's my short list based on facts and data and not on who I like or whatever. And another thing is, are there enough developers available to work on the platform? Because sometimes you literally don't have the time. You need someone to do it for you.
Yeah.
And that could be another thing, because that you might have a great platform, but no one to work on it for you. So I don't know if you plan to do something like this, but I'm small and big independent companies, I think, could be helped with this and make our lives easier and get objective information, because that's the other thing. People are, oh, I've worked with this platform before, so that would be nice. And in some cases, there's one platform that actually works. They've had the experience. So, you know, the end game is you spend less money, you're faster up and running. So it's a good choice. That's a good reason. However, if it's something not as specific, then you should take you should choose for the right reasons.
Yeah, so I did have the idea of having effectively a database of platforms, but across everything. So there'd be metrics platforms that are independent, there'd be voice-only platforms, there'd be the kind of low-end messenger-only, WhatsApp-only, whatever. But, you know, my gut feeling was that would come in phase 3 probably, just because of the amount of work needed to go out to those platforms. And I know that Barron's did a lot of work on that on the early days. But I imagine that, again, he ran into the same issue, that trying to keep it up to date was a real challenge. So yeah, I need some way of doing that that's done right, is very efficient, but doesn't take a lot of my time.
Well, we're in the conversational AI world, right?
Yes,
What if
yeah.
we would set up? I'm just philosophizing here, or it doesn't matter. What if you would set up we would have a list of questions, right, with the information we need or our community needs. And what if you make a chatbot that, the company could gets a question, answers it, and, you can fill it in your own time, and it goes directly to the back end, to the database. And once every a couple of months, it sends a message. Could you please update or verify if the information is still valid? You could automate the process. That's what we do.
You could, but then there's got to be a human element in there to check it,
Sure.
for
But
quality checking, and you've got to have that community. I've either got to spend the time reaching out to them to build the initial database, or they've got to feel that it's attractive enough to come and spend the time. And they'll only do that when there's a community, I believe.
yeah, but don't you think there's I'm not talking about making money, but you could ask a small fee for using it to cover the cost of building it, because but if you're a freelancer and basically it takes you 2 minutes to get the shortlist instead of days or weeks to get, because that's what we're talking about. The value you deliver to your customer. Okay, you have less billable hours, but if you're all about billable hours, you're in the wrong business, in my opinion. If you want to add value, say, okay, we can do this fast and then focus on the platform. We have more time and budget available to do the actual work. I think that's where the money should go, and not, it should go to choosing the right platform. But if we can make that cheaper, so if they would spend, like, I don't know, 25 euros to get, or 20 euros to get the selection based on the criteria with a report behind it, that is worth money.
I think, there's some potential.
Not to get rich of.
Yeah. No, I think there's some potential there. I'll have to give it some thought about the most effective way to do it. But again, there's like stage 1, stage 2, stage 3 of this thing. And I've got to look at the stuff that's going to bring the community in. It's got to be useful to them, basically, which is why I think having a compiled list of every course out there, both paid, free, technical, theoretical, strategic type stuff, and then going the whole spectrum of large language model courses, all the way down to kind of platform level courses. So if you want to do, I don't know, I think of a small platform. Well, one of the small platforms have got their own little training course. I want to have it available. So yeah, there's a lot to do, but it's me basically trying to put it all together. Whether it'll stay that way, I don't know. The idea I had was a bit like before HubSpot became a product, it was a service. So yeah, that's basically what I want to build, is like a service where people come. So for them, it was around marketing. For me, it's around chatbots and conversational AI and serving that whole community.
Let's go to the components of the platform you're building. One of the components you gave me is comprehensive expertise. Actually, I think we've talked about that.
Yeah.
And the next one is a supportive community. And please, you said a little bit about that, but my vision of a supportive community is that people chit-chatting and asking questions and getting a free answer of someone who knows more. But the platform is from conversation designers or conversational AI people for conversational AI people, and somehow there's this thing. Of course, we like to share knowledge and help each other, but there's also this thing that if you're a freelancer, you can't always keep doing that. There needs to be some money to be made somewhere. Right?
Yes.
Because that's another complaint. Well, we'll talk about it a little bit later, which I would like to address. So you have this platform started from frustration. So how is a supportive community a frustration? Because I think it's actually beautiful. We already have it.
Yes, we do have it. For me, that community's really been LinkedIn.
Yeah,
What I
same here.
love about this is that I can literally reach out to anybody within chatbot and conversational AI at any level. You're talking computer scientists working at the highest level to people that have just started in their career, and they'll all have a conversation. They'll all, if you've got a question, they'll all answer. There was a time when I was new in this, and I only had less than 1,000 connections on LinkedIn, and I could reach out to all those people. There's a reason why my LinkedIn has, in the last 2 years, has grown from 1,500 to it's going to reach 10,000 in the next month or so. It's because that community is so giving. But you've got to go out there and do the work to find the community, and you've got to maximize your connection requests. You've got to reach out. You've got to watch a lot of content by these people. Some of them don't create content, which is sometimes a bit of a challenge, or they haven't created any content for 3 months, but they've got loads of knowledge. So the plan is to have a community where it doesn't matter whether you've started in chatbots and conversational AI last week, or you've been working on it for 10 years. You can communicate, you can connect, you can share your knowledge, you can reach out to people, you can find people to help you with a project, you can get advice on the projects you're thinking of starting. I just want it to be a fair and equal community, whether you're experienced or not, basically.
And that I think it's going to help, but there's one question that resonates, and it's the same problem on LinkedIn. How do you curate quality from bullshit? How do you make sure that the value of the platform, the value you're supplying to the people on the platform, stays at a certain level? You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. So basically, for that community, it's effectively going to be pay to play. So if you want to be involved in that community, you're going to pay a yearly fee. So that will automatically get rid of a lot of people that are full of shit. And they just share the same information across every platform, and it's just generic rubbish.
Generated by AI.
Yes. But I'm a great believer in kind of that meritocracy. Is the good stuff rises to the top. So, and that really works on LinkedIn. If you sometimes, I'll spend 2 days planning a piece of, like a post for LinkedIn, and it gets 10 likes and no comments, and I'm so frustrated. And then one thing, I've been working on something, an idea popped in my head. I spend 2 minutes writing it, and it's got 120 likes and so many comments. It just goes crazy.
But Jim,
so even I'm writing rubbish.
No, but that's not about rubbish. It's about I see that, of course, as well with the podcast. Some are go, I wouldn't say viral, but there's a lot of views in the community. Some are viewed less, and then later on, you see all of a sudden the views in certain podcasts go up. It's like, okay, why is this? Sometimes there's a time for the content you're presenting, and the moment you're presenting it is not the time.
Correct.
But you don't know. We have no clue. So of course there's actualities like ChatGPT. I mean, that's been hyped and it's diarrhea on LinkedIn. At the same time, I see very few companies bringing out real practical business solutions that work, that make money. If they're there, they're under the radar. We're working on some stuff that actually might make a big change. But since it's secret, we're not putting it out there yet.
Yes.
But what I see is that is sort of, I don't know. You can't time the content, so you just need to be consistent and throw out there whatever you're thinking. Whether people like it or not doesn't matter. It's your product. It's your brain fart, as we would say in Dutch or English.
Yeah, same in English.
No, it's interesting. English. I tried to translate it to Dutch, but it doesn't work.
It's interesting. I think there's a stat out there. There's a guy I know, Stefan, on LinkedIn, who's an expert networker. He wrote The Dummy's Guide to Networking. Only about 5% of the world networks. Some people just don't do it. A lot of people they're just They're in the background, they're lurking, they're learning, but they're never going to be a content provider. And you just have to accept that. And then what you've got is a 5% of people that are creating content. Some people are doing it because they find it useful for themselves. I'm kind of in that community. Is I write because it makes me think deeply about that particular subject. So, for instance, the ebook I'm writing about metrics, KPIs and analytics is because I need to get my ideas straight. I need to get them down on paper to really, and I need to challenge my ideas as well. So if they're rubbish, that's the way to challenge them. So I've got a better idea. And then you've got people that create content because they feel they must. Yeah, because it's expected of them, or their company that they work for expects them to do it. And the quality is going to be all over the place, but it'll survive on its merit. It's interesting. You would have noticed this, I'm sure, but a lot of the chatbot and conversational AI podcasts all died during the pandemic. They just vanished. I know, because I went out and started making a list at Everything Conversational AI of all the podcasts.
You have just me and one or two others. That's it.
Yeah. So and there was a lot. I got up to 60 podcasts that were in and around the industry, and 90% had gone. They just died off. They didn't exist anymore.
Interesting.
The content was old. And it'd be focused on voice, or it might be focused on WhatsApp or Messenger, or very generic, different languages, but most of them died off. And it's purely because they weren't getting the results they expected, and they didn't do what you said. They weren't consistent, and content hits at different times. So you've just got to keep going. How do people grow YouTube channels? They just keep going.
Yeah, but to be honest and to be fair, you have to be able to finance it, because it's, producing content, it costs money.
Yes.
Whether it is that you're not working for a customer, or you use tech and production capacity or whatever, it costs money. And so you need to have assignments or a regular business to finance it, or be sponsored. And that's where my frustration started. I didn't want to be sponsored. I just wanted to be free to talk to whoever I wanted about whatever I wanted. And that's how this whole thing started. I started to create content because I wanted to learn, and I couldn't find the objective content. It's like, my producer said, why don't you invite people over to talk about that? And then you get the knowledge, you bring it out there, you share it, and everybody happy. Well, that's exactly what happened at Podcast.
Yeah, and it works. We're in a world where knowledge sharing has never been easier, and it's going to continue to get easier. And that's one of the things behind Everything Conversational.ai. My gut feeling is this industry is about to go through a bit of a ballooning because of what's happened recently. There's going to be more people entering the industry. They're going to be clamoring for knowledge, and they're going to be clamoring for resources. So now is the time to start building that. My hope is that the community gets behind me with this. If they've got an ebook, post it on my site. If they've got courses that they're doing, host it. If whatever they're doing, they've got events, because there'll be an events listing on there. It'll be listed.
Well, Jim, you have my or our support as broadcasters. Let me state that, and we're fully prepared to work on some specific content that is only available on your platform. We'll talk about that in a private call. But I fully support the cause, because I think there's too much out there, and it's very hard to curate. And if experts have already done that, that saves the community a lot of time. That brings me to the next point. It says here, engaging and effective results. Now, that needs some clarification.
Yes. So again, there's like two things. There's the public facing stuff for people that are looking for the services, and being able to primarily, my role is as a consultant, and Everything Conversational AI will be the vehicle for consultancy. So if somebody comes to us, they're looking to start a big conversational AI project, they haven't got the knowledge or the resources internally, and they come to us, and it's certain platform. It might be Genesis, and it might be a really complicated project, but we're able to direct them to the people who are the experts, and it's not something that we will get involved in. But on the flip side, I've got a really big dream, which is to create a learning platform focused around chatbots and conversational AI that is used for career mapping. So somebody enters the platform, and they're able to envision where they want perhaps they don't know where their career is going to go. But they're able to look at kind of some maps of where careers can go, and then be able to do the courses and record almost like a personal development record, their development, which they can then obviously add into their CVs, their resumes, to show that they're developing. There's no clear. I don't think there's a clear career development path for people in conversational AI.
No, but that has my opinion, that has a reason. Of all the people I've spoken to so far, including Hans van Dam from CDI, nobody envisioned or thought of, I'm going into conversational AI. It happened.
Yeah.
It's sort of, with a lot of people, it happened by accident. And once in there, it felt like I'm home. I'm coming home. I feel at home. This is where I should be. And I have this observation, and you're going to laugh at me probably. My observation is that a lot of people that are working in conversational AI are neurodiverse people. ADHD, I don't know, ADD. A lot of people think differently, and that's why they're able to do this. I don't know if this resonates with you, but I've had a lot of people at my table that had, that were like that and ended up in this business because of they need the different things happening at the same time, the complexity of the projects, the fact that no day is the same, et cetera, et cetera. I can make a whole list, but I was thinking about it, so it's interesting. So if you look at it from that perspective, nobody envisions to get into this trade or business or profession. You just end up there and you're like, oh, this works for me.
I think that's where we are. Yeah, that's where we are now, but that's going to change. So, a lot of people ended up in UX by accident, but now people choose to go into UX. So it might be graphic design. 20 years ago, people ended up in graphic design, but now people choose to be graphic designers. So my gut feeling is going to change. And I almost want to have all the job titles listed in some kind of table and how they fit together. So you might start off as, for instance, you might do the CDI AI trainer course. So you become an AI trainer. But then that career can then develop into this. But then there's also, these people end up learning lots of technical skills, but don't learn soft skills like team management. So the business might grow, and they might be the senior AI trainer and have 3 or 4 people below them at AI trainers, but nobody's ever taught them how to manage AI trainers and what the differences are.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, if you think about AI trainers, or people busy with intents and utterances, because of the AI we use and will be using, first of all, platforms are going to change. They don't need that anymore, so they're can cut that out. But also the work is going to change because you have to focus on the more complex stuff because the AI is going to do part of your work. And that's, for some people, that's scary. I think it's beautiful because it takes out the dumb work. But also it lowers the cost for companies to start with chatbots. So I think overall the business is going to change. So how are you going to manage that? Because you have the career path, but it's going to be changed continuously by the advancements of technology. So there is no, there won't be actually a predefined career path because it's going to be broken off by tech.
So my gut feeling is that people will enter through no fault of their own currently the world of conversational AI, and they will, for instance, be part of a small internal plus external project team, work on the project, improve their skills. But often at the end of the project, they still feel like, perhaps the project's been a year long. They feel like still know nothing. And that's where my kind of community goes in. But they'll be able to go in there, have a look at almost like their job title. They might even not have the job title. They might just be part of, a team internally that does the role, but doesn't know what the job title is. Don't know, they've got a project team title, but they haven't got a specific conversational AI job title. They don't know what they are.
Can I say something funny?
Yeah.
When I was in, I was making podcasts at a European Chatbot Summit in Edinburgh, and of course I had access to all the guests, like every other guest, and I saw you could list all the job titles. That was really interesting. I'll share it with you.
That'd be handy,
I have never seen so many different definitions of people doing the same stuff.
Yes.
And everybody gave it their own name. And I don't care. I don't give a rat's ass about job titles. I think it's a non-issue. But it's interesting. Everybody has their own definition. And I think, and then if you look at the countries where people came from, then I figured out it must be a cultural thing that here it is X and there it is Y. And so I don't think there is any logic to it, to be honest.
Well, I think the value is that it immediately tells people what area of conversational AI you work in. So, for instance, So if it said conversational AI project manager, you would roughly know what that person's kind of responsibilities were. But if it said senior AI trainer, you know what I mean? The kind of senior thing, I don't like it. But all it means is that you've perhaps been doing it a little bit longer than the people that are other AI trainers. Or
that doesn't mean you're better.
No, definitely not. But sometimes people use it as a way of so someone would be an AI trainer, but they've been doing it for 4 years. They've given them a little bit of a pay rise, and they've added senior on just to make that person feel a little bit more valued, perhaps. I also think people that come into conversational AI might not be working in the area that they're best suited. So they may come in as AI trainer, but then through coming onto conversational, Everything Conversational.ai, see these other job titles and what's involved, and think, well, actually, I'm already doing 70% of that. As well as my AI trainer, I'm doing 70% of that job. I only need to learn that, and that, of which there's a course here on Everything Conversational AI. Then I can start looking for those roles. Or I can speak internally and say, well, actually, these are all the things I do. This job title's better, and this pay grade is what that person's paid. And I've just trained on these skills, so I think I'm of more value to the company. I want more money. Or I want better conditions. So there's lots of people out there. If you look at AI trainer, if you go on the job boards now and find AI trainer and you look at the descriptions, they're all over the place. And that's something that I'm hoping Everything Conversational AI can help correct. And it's something I want to work with the community to correct. So recruiters could come and literally download the kind of default. Yes, here's the job title.
Description.
Yeah, or they could write in the skills that are in demand and it would give the job title, perhaps.
And you could use AI to do that for them.
Exactly, yeah. What I'll do is I'll create it so it informs AI.
Oh, I understand.
Yeah.
I think this will help, and eventually, as a community grows bigger, because you said everything conversational AI, but that is part of what's happening in the society. We are moving to everything conversational AI. So I think you've chosen the name perfectly.
Yeah, it took a while, but I'm glad I chose it.
There you have it. The next one on the list is trusted partners.
So, as we spoke at the very beginning about bias, So what I noticed, if you type into Google today, top 10 conversational AI products, it will list 10 products. Who's defined them as the best?
And who's paying for being on that list?
Yes. Which one of those is the highest percentage affiliate link? Yeah. So I want to get away from all that. I want to get to honest, trusted partners. So, for instance, I did CDI when it first launched. They are amazing what they do. Throughout the community, they've got a really high level of respect and trust.
Oh, they're amazing. No question about it.
Yeah. They're a clear leader in what they do. So they can be a trusted partner. But if somebody comes along and says, well, I'll give you an example. Every YouTube channel around fitness and health will have Athletic Greens as a sponsor. And what people don't realize that Athletic Greens give that organization $50 for every person that signs up forever.
Holy moly.
Yes. So they're not telling people that Athletic Greens are the best because they are the best. They're telling them because they get $50 for every sign up.
And they don't say that.
Yeah, and that's not going to be us. So if we are recommending a course provider or we're recommending a platform, it'll be very clear. It'll say they are an affiliate.
Hey, maybe we can do something here. Because I always test a chatbot in the podcast, not today, because this is a different kind of recording. But what if we, in order to be a trusted partner, if you want to be on there, we have one or two conversation designers who are used to working with the platform. However, I've never worked with the platform. Together with someone from the platform, they test the platform with someone from the platform explaining what and how, just to see what they do. And we'll put that as content on the in the platform. And then
what I really like about that is you've got the list of platforms, and then literally you can just tag on the video of us using the platform with the provider.
I think we have a plan here. Yeah. I'd love to have that because it's fun because I get to see all these platforms. I've seen quite a few, but I'd love to see more. And I think there's really good platforms, smaller platforms out there with great inspirational entrepreneurs who really understand the business and the needs and the future needs. And they don't get the platform. They don't get the attention they actually need and deserve. And price-wise, to be honest, they're so much more affordable than a lot of the big platforms that ask money for the name, not for the service they provide. Sorry to bash some companies. But, this is really how I feel. And I think that would give them an honest and fair chance to get a platform in the community. Whether people choose them or not doesn't matter. But at least they get a fair chance. And I think the platforms deserve that.
And it'd be nice as well, because we could also invite one of our community, a conversational designer or an AI trainer, to be with us and give their thoughts. And because then you'll get some quite unique questions to the platform provider, I think.
Or frustrated conversation designer say, it doesn't work in another platform work. Can you do this? Yes, we can. Oh, let's try.
Yeah. And I think it'll also be good for I want people from the platform providers to join the community as well. I want them to be in there listening to what the community wants and what their needs are and what their frustrations are so they can make their platforms better.
And let me stress, it's not about breaking the bot. There's this other company that does a sort of a podcast and it's about breaking the bot. We're not about breaking a bot. I think that's a bad way of approaching things. We want to make it better and understand what drove the people to make a bot like that or help them figure out how to do better. But not the point is never to break a bot because it's useless.
Well, if you can go in and I could probably break every bot. And you're the same.
I know, and we usually do, but it's not the point.
Serve a purpose. No,
I want to help them make it better.
Yeah, I like analyzing the conversation and then perhaps trying to understand from them why they make certain strategic decisions and design decisions, because there might be a very good reason for it.
I know, and a lot of the times we found out that when we're testing, it's like we realize, okay, the platform doesn't allow them to do this, so they're technically impaired by the platform. So it's not a problem of the conversation designer. It's the wrong choice of tech. And a lot of times it was already there, a decision not made by the conversation designer, or they didn't want to spend the money to do the pre-work, which is very important.
Yeah.
So well, here's my offer. It stands. You can take me up on that. We'll do that.
Yeah, I think we could have some real fun with that and really add some value to the community as well.
And I think a lot of platforms will be more than willing to help and grab the floor to show what they can do. And I think we'll see some amazing features, which which didn't get the attention they needed.
Yeah, I think so.
And that would open up more doors for business and maybe lower the cost for companies to start with a chatbot, and also hence the threshold to do something.
Yeah. One of the things I've been thinking about as well is for people that are thinking of moving into conversational AI as a career, is almost developing like a series of steps. So you would come in, it would be a chatbot and say, what's their experience? It would find out a little bit about them. Juji would be the ideal platform for this because it could actually work out what their personality type is, and then recommend jobs that kind of would suit that personality type. So, someone who's an AI trainer would have a very different personality from someone who is who works in linguistics, for instance. So very different personality. Yeah. So one's very creative, one's very ordered and structured. So it would ask a few questions about your personality, then it would ask a few questions about your work history, and then it would also perhaps recommend, if you're going to enter the industry, these type of jobs which suit you. And if that's interesting, these are the courses that are available to start on the route.
People's lives.
And these are the platforms that perhaps you need to learn.
And here are the courses.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And click here. They're trusted partners, so you can get a free account to play around with it.
Yeah. So Juji, for instance, does that. It's quite an advanced no-code product that anybody can sign up for it and learn how to use it.
Cool.
And you know yourself, there's a lot of big platforms out there now that you cannot do that.
I know. It's very. You want to have a look around, and they ask you to do a demo, and then they only show you what they want to show you, and then you start asking difficult questions. They get annoyed. I've been there, and then you ask another difficult question, and they get really annoyed.
Because a lot of those people are salespeople; they're looking just to sell. So if you're a young conversational designer, they don't want to waste time on you. However, they don't realize that the value is this conversational designer who's entered the market or might have been in the market for several years will talk about your product.
Is your next ambassador.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, we got the trusted partners. And now the last one, which I found really interesting because that is a fast moving object. It's called real-time industry insights. I think that's like that is like a hard to fetch target.
Yeah, it is, and it's very much. It's a bit like what you're kind of doing. You're looking what's happening in the market, where the changes are, and you want to get those guests in. And I think it's kind of down that. So it's finding, again, a lot of that will be curating content. So you and I know the great content creators out there on LinkedIn, and it's about, they create a great piece of content, and I simply reach out, bring them into the community so that we can almost do a webinar based on that video they created or that post they created, and people can ask questions, get involved, to talk to people that are movers and shakers, not only just creators, but movers and shakers within the industry. So that will be very much of the moment because the industry is moving so bloody quickly. OpenAI made 2 announcements this week.
Meta made one.
Yeah. Obviously Elon's, I watched it today, actually. It did. Yeah. So they did their little, kind of introduction of everybody and talking about the ideas behind XI. Yeah. I don't expect to get Elon on yet, but people that know the industry and might have thoughts about what he's doing, pull them into a little round table that the whole community can watch and ask questions. And it'd be nice to be able to just kind of just bring one of the community in and they ask their question to the panel. I think there's some real value around bringing that expertise, industry insights, and putting it all in one place.
Yeah, I know how hard it is. People think it's easy, but it's not that easy because you follow and track a lot of stuff, and also you see something that attracts your attention and makes you think and wonder, and then it's like, okay, I need to talk to that person.
Yeah.
And yeah, most people are very willing to cooperate and talk, and are happy to share their knowledge. So that's why I enjoy this so much, because people actually, they open up, and without any inhibition, you would say, or any.
Yeah.
There's no. They're very open, and I really enjoy that, and I hope that that's what we're going to get here on Real Time Insights. Also, what would be interesting, I don't know if we can track that very often you see a chatbot, you can't see, sometimes you recognize it, but you can't see which platform it is. I'd love to have like statistics on which platform runs where, and then sort of a satisfaction score of customers or conversation designers. Like you can vote, are you happy with the platform? That will be real-time insight. And sometimes platforms start great, then they adjust, or they don't do innovation or maintenance, and then it becomes from a great platform compared to the other ones to a mediocre platform.
Yeah, well, they get acquired. There's a lot of acquired platforms out there now. They get acquired by bigger companies, and then you might see a lot of investment go in, and the platform goes like this, or you see the team changes and the platform starts to dip. So yeah, it'd be interesting too. I think all of that stuff is what we have within the community behind closed doors, and it'd be nice to. I've got this vision of like a group of experts coming and talking. These are the kind of YouTube videos I enjoy, which is a group of people from a niche sitting around, 3 or 4 of them, just shooting the shit, basically, just talking about what's happening in the industry. There's a podcast called My First Million, and I watch it, and the guys are very different, and there's normally 3 of them, and they all just basically come in like you and I are now, 3 of them, and they'll have a rough idea of what they want to talk about, and the conversation just goes all over the place. Fascinating. Absolutely. I learned so much from these people, and I want to kind of emulate that for the conversational AI thing. So it might be a weekly thing where I just pull 3 people together and we just have a rough idea what we're going to talk about for half an hour, and we just go for it. And people will leave that playing while they're making dinner, or they're doing something else, or they'll have the audio of it while they're driving to work. Yeah.
Well, if we as podcasters can help you with that in any way, feel free, because think that's also where we are. And I don't see you as a competitor. I see you as a colleague. So if we could help in any way or work together on that, that would be actually really enjoyable.
Yeah, it's something I want to move quickly as soon as I get the community live. And you've got the production side sorted, so it would make sense that you're involved. Okay.
Well, cool. We got that sorted.
Yeah, easy.
Another thing, when is the platform due to go live? When are the viewers and listeners able to connect to the platform?
So initially I said 1st of August, which was a stupid idea.
I remember that. That's why we planned that.
Not just because.
Not a stupid idea, but it matched perfectly in my program.
Yeah. But basically because obviously there's a lot to build behind behind it. But then you kind of launching in holiday season. Yeah,
not a good idea.
People aren't signing up. So it's just a stupid idea. So I think 1st of November is more realistic. And I've got to kind of get the launch planning straight in my head. I've got to get the financials straight in my head, because, as you said, it's got to be monetized in some way, because it's a bit of a beast.
You need to cover the cost, because it goes out of control. People are going to start demanding, and it's going to be a full-time job for you. You're not making any money.
Yeah.
You need to live as well.
So my idea is to just have a flat yearly subscription. I don't want it to be administratively heavy. Where
any idea what you're going to charge?
No, it's trying to get that figure right, because I don't want to charge so little that it brings in low quality hacks and people that are just coming to kind of milk off the community. But I don't want it too high that, if somebody's working in conversational AI in Calcutta, that for them it's just priced wrong. So yeah, I'm trying to get my head around what the price might be. Not sure yet.
Maybe you have such a big network. Just ask people, define a few different price levels, and ask them what they would be willing to pay for the worth you're getting. And it's not about you making money. It's about covering the cost of the platform. So if you charge less, you need more people on the platform. But the problem is if there's too little people on the platform, you don't have the value.
Yes.
Right? So so maybe you should start off with a lower price, saying that, okay, this is the starting price. And then, but this is just for the first year. And after the first year, we'll go up to X. And if you believe the value is there, you stay, you pay it. If you don't believe the value is there, bye-bye.
That's kind of where my mindset was, that there would be kind of a 3 month, if you sign up in the first 3 months, you get it at this price. But I was thinking you get it at this price for lifetime. So, because you're one of the first people on the platform, so you pay that fee every year. Then after that, it would triple or whatever. But I kind of got this vision of like 250 quid a year.
Pounds
which is
or
not,
euros?
probably do it in euros, to be honest. It'd probably make more sense. So it's not a massive amount of money. It's the price of a couple of decent 2 to 3 coffees a month. But again, the value's got to be there. People have got to see some value in it.
I was going to say, and then there's this other thing I saw passing by on LinkedIn, and it sort of touched my heart. We talked about it before the podcast started. Is a conversational AI freelancer saying something on online about his frustration or her frustration about customers wanting the person to write free plans and blah, 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 and advice, and then not doing the project. And you can spend all your time writing plans, not doing any business.
Yeah.
I think, and I've heard this complaint, if you saw the comments underneath, that person is definitely not the only one. And I recognize it as well. And I think you do too. I stopped doing it because I just, there's too much knowledge in there in order to write a plan that they should be paying for that.
Yeah.
But I think the community could have some help here, because apparently the other side of the community, the companies buying the knowledge and the expertise and everything, don't understand that all that work has gone into there needs to be paid. You can't get it for free. And if you get it for free, you should question. Eventually, I think in time, you should question the quality, to be honest. And that's exactly like you're saying about the platform. You don't get shit if it's free.
People don't value free.
Exactly. And that also inserts a sort of a commitment. So maybe it's an idea to have an extra chapter in your story, helping freelancers to do this properly. If you're giving like a database or whatever, or structure to do something, maybe we could create a structure to do this as well, to help people say, no, this is the way we do it. If you format it this way, then the customer is okay and you're okay, and you're not doing it for free anymore. You don't have to have the full price, I understand, but you need to have something.
Yeah. So the idea is to provide value. So if freelancers need, for instance, a solid set of terms and conditions, if they need a framework for
offers,
developing a plan or a scope, they can literally take it, chop it and change it to suit their business. And that kind of stuff will be behind the paywall. So I think it will add that value that way. But one of the big things will be having up-to-date quality content and resource to help you develop your career. I think those two together should cover the cost. But we might do some corporate pricing as well. So if you're a big organization that's got several people working in conversational AI, you could buy almost like a corporate package, and those 10 people get access.
Yeah, but that makes sense. That's just commercial sense. Okay, can I ask you a final question? Maybe it's a good idea that the moment you go live or the day you go live or whatever, we make sure we have a short. Well, you get on again. You give a short demo of what you're doing, and we'll get the offer out to people to connect. Because I honestly, with my full heart, I believe that this should be successful because it will be the one place where you get basically my problem when I started would have been solved.
Yes.
I probably wouldn't have started. The good news, it wasn't there. Otherwise, I wouldn't have started the podcast.
Yeah.
But so it's also my frustration, and a lot of my peers as well. So I truly believe that if we support this, and we should as a community, and support you in that, let's get it out there and shout and get everybody on board. And
That's the
I
plan.
hope to help you with that.
I'm basically building what I wanted when I started. So something that
Same thing with the podcast.
Something that would help me develop my career. And I'm still as passionate and as involved and excited about conversational AI as I was that first day that I kind of started.
It sort of sticks with you.
I want to inspire people to come into this industry because I think there's going to be massive demand. I want to inspire
there is already a massive demand.
Yeah, I want to inspire people to explore areas of conversational AI that perhaps they hadn't thought about, hadn't considered. So, for instance, I really enjoy the project management side. But there's plenty of people out there, that have got a lot of knowledge around conversational AI, but have never managed a project. I've never even thought they could perhaps manage a project, and they want to learn project management skills. Again, that's another ebook that's definitely coming.
And another skill set is developing use cases and business cases. Understanding you need to understand enough of a business or the business side in order to create the value. No, you can create the value, but make it understandable for the business side what they're actually getting. And that means you have to understand the business side, otherwise you can't formulate it in the right way, and you can't sell it. So I think that there's another part of the work that is very difficult. People don't understand, and there's a lot of work there. So knowledge needs to be shared there as well.
Yeah, I agree.
So end of October, beginning of November, we're going to do this again and then have a demo.
Yes.
Cool. We'll schedule it, and we'll be one of the first members.
Perfect. Yes.
Consider me signed up. You got the first one.
Well, I think a good measure will be if we can get some of the movers and shakers within our community to be in there.
What we'll do is, Jim, we'll do the following. Of course, I'm signing up. That's one. We'll do end of October, beginning of November. We'll do the launch. I'll help you with that. And we'll think of some content we create, which is behind the paywall only there. So that it's unique and relevant and matches the other things that are happening. We'll talk about that in a different stage, and I can announce it and everything. So that comes together. And I truly hope that the whole community is going to support you in this and take advantage of what's going to happen there. So compliments for the initiative.
Yeah, I can't do this alone. I need the community.
No. So again, you have our support.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you for being on the show. And we'll talk soon.
Okay. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Look after yourself.